Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning in today to the Driven to Better podcast, where everyone you'll hear is driven to make business better. I'm your host, Justin Sisley, and on the show today is Borui Wang of Polarr.co. Borui is going to take us along on his journey to use computing power to create an advanced photo editing software that will make even the most amateur photographer look like a pro. So stay tuned to hear about it. We've got a great show coming up. Thanks for joining us today, Borui.
Thank you, guys.
Why don't you start out and tell us, since you'll be able to explain it a lot better than I will, give us kind of your elevator pitch on what Polarr.co is meant for, what you guys are doing there.
All right. So what we are trying to do is to save the photography industry from falling apart in the next few years. So basically, we've seen people are creating a lot more photo content these days, and the competitiveness of the content is falling just because everyone's having the same photos. So we thought we're trying to bring artificial intelligence to people's photo editing experience to automate their entire retouching workflow. And what we have right now is the online editor that is in fact a data collection engine that tracks every second someone is using our editor, so we understand what kind of photo they're retouching and what kind of adjustment they did in what way. And by doing that, we train a machine to do the same thing. So
is the ultimate goal then to have it be kind of a one-step auto optimizer?
Right. The end goal is to have everyone send us their photos. We choose the best ones, we cluster them, and find out the best way to optimize and retouch the look of the chosen ones.
Okay.
So you will have something ready to share almost instantly. You know, when you go on vacation, come back on Sunday, you have to work tomorrow, and now you can just have all the photos here in Polarr, and we take care of the rest.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we'll dive a little bit more into the nuts and bolts here, but before we do, just to get an idea of how the business and you go together, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been an entrepreneur?
So Polarr is, in fact, myself's first company. I just graduated from Stanford Computer Science Master this year, so that was June. During the 2 years master program, I actually started with my friend as a CTO for a search company. It wasn't very successful due to many reasons. So this is what I consider my first serious company, and that being an entrepreneur. If consider that's for like 3 months so far. Okay,
so Polarr started 3 months ago?
Yeah, I actually met my current co-founder in July 1st.
Okay, wow. Well, it's come a long way in 3 months. I mean, the website looks fantastic.
The site is new. Right, the site is actually, in the past months we have been building more and more in the back end and all these fancy big data computation algorithms, but the editor is set in place a month ago. Yeah. Okay,
great. So is this something you're doing full time then, or are you doing it on the side?
I'm doing full time. It's just, the biggest lesson I learned from my previous company is I just couldn't do part time working on something that I'm considering contributing or committing a lot of effort to. So me and my co-founder and my entire team is full time right now, actually.
Okay, and how many are on your team?
We only have 3, and my co-founder and I, we are technical, and we have a non-technical founder.
Okay,
too. Yep.
Sounds good. And did you all go to Stanford, or how did you guys meet?
So that's 2 of us are from Stanford. The other technical founder, he is actually the chief scientist officer. We don't really have a CTO yet, by the way.
Okay.
So he's doing his PhD in image processing in Stanford. We actually met a really long time in Beijing, in some sort of mathematical physics competition when I was in high school, and since then we just never met, and we just figured out that we are actually in the same school, same grad school, like 5 years later.
Okay.
So I was sending I was thinking about doing something with photography, and I know that I need someone who are into this artificial intelligence and image processing side, and I don't really have that knowledge, so I sent around just to my network of friends, and and his name just popped up constantly. So I reached out to him the start of July, and his father is very into photography. He did films previously, so his passion is quite aligned, and that's how we sort of actually started to seriously consider doing it. Yeah.
Wow.
And the other founder is the third person actually joined almost a month ago, when we thought that my co-founder and I, we focused too much time on writing code and no one's taking care of the marketing. And we just found a great person who loved the vision of the company to automate people's basically creative process of photos. So he actually dropped he quit his job in a week and joined the team full time. Yeah.
Wow. Yep. Okay. Well, yeah, it sounds like everything came together then, kind of almost meant to be type thing.
Yeah.
Finding your other technical co-founder after 5 years of not really knowing what was going on with each other. That's really cool.
Right.
Cool. So Borui, that's great. You've got your team in place. Take us and the listeners back to the day when it sounds like in July, when you really decided to make this your business. Was it just an idea that you wanted to act on, or had you done some validation in the market? Tell us what pushed you over the edge to make you begin.
So just over the years, I'm the kind of person who always have one or two side projects going on.
Sure.
And I just figured it's all somewhat related to photography, either in the artistic way or the computational way. I previously worked in photo studios and actually sold photographies to banks and Starbucks like that. So I've been into photos, especially photo retouching, for 7 years. And I'm using a lot of Adobe products, but they are sort of growing really, really slow. It's just I got really bored and started to hate using their products because I was expecting a lot more doing my own photo processing workflow.
Sure.
So that's one thing that I thought all my photography friends are expecting more, but Adobe is becoming slow and slow. Now their release cycle is 1.5 years. And another thing is, I just figured I don't really have enough time with photography. I used to invest lots of money in lens and cameras. And I kind of start to hate myself because I put lots of effort previously, but now I don't really have time. I still want to find a way to keep my hobby going.
Sure.
So that's the second drive. So I'm thinking about how can I build something to first meet my own expectation and my friends' expectation of pushing some of the state-of-art photography, computational photography research into the consumer, and while at the same time make my life and other photographers' life easier as they're getting older and have less and less time dealing with photography. So that's sort of what pushed me toward this idea, and definitely I couldn't find any company that's attacking it.
Okay.
If there exists one, then I would probably join them. But that's basically the cause of doing this.
Sure. And now, in your studies, did you come up with anything proprietary that you could, patent? Is there some technology that you're developing or looking to develop that's going to make you guys, make you different and stick around for the long term?
Right, definitely. There's usually about a 5 to 10 years cycle of transferring research level computer vision or computer graphics work into the consumer business. And as my CSO, my co-founder, he is very technical, and we actually wanted to register 5 patents out of this.
Okay.
And most of them are related to aesthetic evaluation, so trying to figure out what people like in their photos. And another thing, another major thing is to really highly optimize computation pipeline to basically to process large photos efficiently.
Okay.
So that's definitely something we consider proprietary, but we know our competitors are working on something Google is Adobe, they're working on something cool at the same time. But that's the plan. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. So now it's a few months in, are you bootstrapping the business, or have you taken outside investment?
We have been bootstrapping ourselves. it's kind of interesting. Like my fundraising strategy is not to raise. It's the same as hiring strategy is not to hire. It's we sort of, want to keep the team small and until we hit a point where we feel like, we can support the responsibility of having the money in the bank and have enough confidence and go full out. But since we have seen some really interesting active growth, we just started talking to investors, and we're almost getting there to have a seed round closed at the end of this month. Yeah.
Okay, so you will be taking on investment in the near future.
Yeah, maybe in 2 to 3 weeks, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Well, good luck as you raise your first round. It can be a tough process, especially.
It's tough. Yeah. It's finding dating the right investor is really tough. Yeah.
Yes, it's a lot like dating.
Do you guys? So you're out in California right now. Do you guys find that you have to travel to meet with investors, or are you at the point where you're just kind of putting out feelers right now?
That's one reason I think why Stanford is awesome. I still think UW-Madison is the most beautiful campus, honestly. But the fact that being in Stanford is kind of all about luck. In this area, we had the luxury to get luckier than people who are outside the region. It's just we can bump into people and talk about our ideas all the time, and there's a huge network effect of investors, mentors, advisors, as well as entrepreneurs. So we didn't have to move. It's just, these talented and very aspirational people all come together to this one place and makes it very easy to generate ideas and work on stuff and find investments.
Awesome. Well, let's transition a little bit here and do some talking about failures, which is something that really all businesses encounter, as I'm sure you found out by now. What's something that you guys really struggled with getting things started? Is there one moment or one story where you had a big failure that you can tell us, or has it been any part of it been a big struggle?
Definitely. Like my role of the company is to control failure, basically. We can suffer from failure that completely knocks us down, right? So we tend to iterate and prototype very small and incrementally. The biggest challenge we had since the very beginning, we still have the challenge, is to know what user wants, while finding that clear border between our vision of and the user need. We don't want to build something, completely follow and being reactive to the users, while we want to have a little bit of our own design ego. So the biggest challenge is to go out, talk to real users and make sure they're not biased about who we are and what we're doing, and find that sort of level of comfort while sitting together with the user and observing what they're doing. For example, we were thinking about doing some album hosting. We actually built a whole bunch of album hosting features just out of my own or our team's own vision, but it didn't go really well because we didn't really test that need. People still mostly treat what we're doing as an editor. So that was like about a week of engineering effort, kind of a little bit wasted. So we kind of we stopped to developing more album features and trying to delay that. So that's definitely a lesson learned. Well, if a user didn't tell you that's something they're desperately needing to use, then it's better not to build it. And later that strategy becomes, we put a bunch of placeholders in the site. Like originally when we have the sign up page, we didn't even have a reset password function building. It's until like 3 users ask about, how do I reset my password? Then we start to implement that function.
Okay.
So that keeps us really minimal in terms of engineering effort, and we want to just keep the feedback loop really tight and quickly from our users. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, in business, the old adage, if you build it, they will come, doesn't really apply.
Right.
See a lot of companies wasting a lot of effort. Similar to what you said, luckily you guys only really spent a week on something that wasn't necessarily desired, but you see big companies like Google come out with things that people just universally hate, and they've probably spent months and months developing them. So
right, and the week can kill a startup, especially in this very early stage. And you know, investors are watching your progress. Your friends and your potential hires are looking up to what you're doing. If you made like a strategic wrong decision of pursuing something that doesn't worth doing it, it hurts the company and team's image and the morale at the same time.
Yeah.
And another struggle. So that was the one. The other one is once we have a great product, how we make people realize it exists. Mm-hmm. So we started thinking about I had this kind of idealistic, maybe naive view of just, this is also from lots of, books or theories taught by Stanford is go very organically, reach out to users, like go to forums, go to Quora, and trying to pinpoint the users and start there. It was extremely time consuming. And what ended up happening is, so our editor was covered by, we submitted to Product Hunt on September 9th. That's actually our launch date for the public beta. I got into the top 10 of that day, and then we are covered by the Next Web and sites like Petapixel.
Oh, nice.
And after that, we just see that people naturally start to talk about Polarr on forums and on Petapixel. Previously, it's really hard for us to build the credibility to talk to forum people. It's just we have to open a new account, and it's super suspicious, right? Oh, yeah. And admin will almost delete your post, right up. But having that press present first, we were able to just post a link to the press release instead of saying, "Oh, we are from Polarr." So from that kind of point of view, that made our marketing progress or marketing effort a lot easier. So that's another thing that I learned is maybe it's for what we're doing, maybe it's better to connect to the press earlier than yourself reaching out to the target consumer. So, but that's just one instance, one data point.
Yeah. I mean, it's and going forward, I'm sure you'll find that you'll need a mix of both. I think you did things perfectly in establishing some credibility right off the bat by getting a little bit of press, and then you can kind of mix and match from here on out, because if you just try all press, obviously it's not going to work. Right. People are going to get bored of hearing about it. So mm-hmm. I think that sounds really good. So going forward, I mean, it sounds like now that you've got that feedback loop established, going forward, do you still see kind of marketing as being your biggest struggle?
For lots of startups, they care a lot about signups. We don't really care that much. So in terms of marketing, our site is completely optional to sign up. And if you really want to sign up, you can click the sign up button and do it. The struggle slightly, tilted toward how to, keep them get back to the sites and keep them using it. We definitely see people who are using our site more than 10 times a week. But there's also people who are using 2 or 3 times. So we don't really know, what's going on in their lives, what kind of career and occupation they have. So figure out a very clear map and segmentation of the consumer is actually our priority. And we are not so worried about onboarding new users. It's more about how to make sure that while people are in your product, they're keeping satisfied and they're seeing more and more and want to do word of mouth to their friends. Yeah.
Okay. Something that cable companies could learn from. Stop offering all the discounts to new customers and take care of the ones you have.
Right. We are actually thinking about close our sign up in a week,
really?
That we will have this 3,000 people who actively they signed up. Maybe that means they care about it. They're very critical, because our tool is targeting at these semi-pros. They're not easy to deal with. So we want to kind of have this closed loop of people and start to iterate the product a little bit more before it's ready for someone who are less pro or more casual.
Yeah, I looked at your site and I kind of jumped around it a little bit, and it's definitely beyond my capabilities for photo editing. So
Right.
I will be a customer once you can figure out the automation thing, and you can quickly just upload the photos and have it almost automatically touch up everything. I'm a customer then. But right now, yeah, it's you're
No, you're not. You're not.
You're aimed towards people who know what they're doing at least somewhat. So that's cool. It's a unique approach, because you're right. So many people are so bent on getting as many users as possible these days. When you hear somebody say, "Oh, we're going to close the sign up," that's you're doing it for the right reasons.
Well, yeah, and that's it. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, did you mention that you had 3,000 users currently?
We actually have, in terms of people who are using the site, as well as people who sign up, we actually have around 20,000. But there's people who actually sign up that's close to 3,000. But they can all use the site. It's just people who have signed up, they have a little bit more access to some of the premium features. But it's all free.
Okay. Well, yeah, just backing up a little bit, it's a little easier to say that we're going to turn off the signups when you have that kind of mass. If you had like 24 users or 100, then it'd be a little bit more difficult. But I think you've got a nice start, definitely.
Hey everyone, thanks again for listening. I want to break in quickly just to give a quick shout out and thank you to our sponsors, starting with MadisonInAbox.com. It's the perfect gift for anyone with a connection to the great city that I call home. Someone who used to live here, is a university alum, or maybe just someone who would appreciate a taste of our local culture. Send friends, family, and loved ones the gift of Madison in a box. Head over to MadisonInAbox.com to learn more about this unique gift idea. Our other sponsor for the show is Fruitera.co. Get ready to blend organic smoothies in under 30 seconds. And the best part is they're shipped right to your door. There's several flavors to choose from, so head over to Fruitera.co to learn more. And while you're there, drop them an email. Say, hey, thanks for sponsoring the Driven to Better podcast. I really appreciate it. All right, back to the show.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to, the company's long strategy and sort of the vision in the future is the phase one of the company is to collect enough high-quality data to train a machine to do it. And we want to make, people who are using the site kind of, Polarr is their go-to place. They're abandoning all the other alternatives. Mm-hmm. So they're focusing their energy on the site. They're contributing, giving us really valuable data. So maintain that amount of data quality is more important than having a lot of users just, playing with the site, don't really know what to do, or abusing it. So that's also part of the reason why we think it might work to think about controlling the group of users.
Sure. No, I totally agree. Now, Bray, you've mentioned that you guys are doing kind of a lot of things that are working in your favor right now. What's something that just overall is working really well for your business, for the team, for the direction you guys are headed?
I think probably the most important thing is focus. I'm a very product-driven person. I cannot believe before we have a product decent enough, we should reject all the investors' interest. We should reject press. I mean, someone want us to go to a conference or to demonstrate our app. We should just reject all these. And there's lots of noise in the Silicon Valley. You see all the other companies, they raise money, they're in the news, they're doing this party and that party. We are none of those. We are not going into fancy office space. We don't even have a name tag or anything, stickers on laptops. So we want to put.
Don't have a T-shirt yet.
We don't. But we want to put we wanted to put 100% of time making sure that our product is something that people love. It's not lots of people are trying to do minimal viable products like MVP. We're more like minimal satisfied product. So the users have to get hooked, even in the very first version. So that's sort of kind of unique about us, and I find it successful because every single customer, every single user, our target user, basically those who are using desktop photo retouching software, when they use it, they love it. And we receive on average one email per day, telling us, they think this is something we're getting bigger and better, and they really like what we're doing. So having that infrastructure and thoughts and the products built early is what gave us huge wins so far.
That's interesting. I think that's very honorable that you guys are so focused on being focused, because in the environment that you're in, out in Silicon Valley, where yes, it may be a little bit easier to find investment, but to show investors that you're serious about your business, and not just in it for potentially the wrong reasons, I think and I hope that treats you guys well.
Yeah, thanks. I hope so too.
Nice. So, as you continue to refine your product for the users that you have right now, do you have any big plans for the future or near future that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to have as many people as we can to work on this, actually. So there's two things that's happening right now, as I previously mentioned. One is, photography in the cloud is becoming a wasteland. People are generating, more and more photos. So that's going to be a big issue. And because of that, people will become more and more indifferent to take pictures because, 5 years ago, I went to Japan and came back and showed my friends my photos, and they're all very impressed. And now, people just don't really care. People have all kinds of photography. Every corner of the world has been photographed.
It's true.
So the vision of the company is how to bring back the joy of taking photos, how to make photo instead of clicking shutters just thoughtlessly and effortlessly. How we can help people to experience that they're a master photographer. They can focus on the creativity process while getting the bored part of creativity out, which means organizing and retouching and distributing their photos. So the vision in the future is where people can have 100% time thinking about how to photograph something, and after the fact they did it, there should be some infrastructure set up to take the photos and process them according to this person's own artistic styles and need, and distributed them almost automatically, but of course under their awareness and control. So that's really the vision. And right now we don't really see the loop is being closed, like Dropbox and Flickr. They're massive online storage farms, but when you put your photo there, you just get stuck. You don't know what to do after.
Yep.
And they get lost, over the years, and you don't even know where your best photos. And as a photographer, for audience where they've been more RC, they always trying to find something that can represent them. People are building online portfolios that represent their personality and attitudes. I think everyone deserves something like that, to have a repository about your creations, your music, your writings, your photos, somewhere online. So, maybe after you die, people can look at it instead of your Facebook feed. So that's the long-term vision, is trying to get people to have the freedom of self-expression and eliminate the technical barrier and all the stress of dealing with it.
I hope nobody ever sees the first 5 years of my Facebook feed after I die.
Yeah.
That's something that, oh man, I hope it's buried.
Yeah.
Your college years were good to you?
It's coming with me when I go to the grave, and nobody's going to see that.
Why is that? I mean, that still represent your identity at a certain point, right?
It does. It does. My identity was stupid college kid for a few years. I guess I'm not the only one, though.
You're almost out of that phase, Justin.
Yeah, sooner or later I'll get there. Hey,
there should be a company just deleting people's posts. Automate that process, maybe.
Yeah. Hey, I can get older, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna get more mature. That takes a lot longer. Well, anyways, I think I know I definitely have a much better grasp on what you guys are doing going forward. I'm really glad we did the interview, because when I first saw what you were doing it did leave me with some questions, and I think you answered them all. Everything that I was kind of wondering about, I know now, and I think your vision is incredible, and I think you're right on. I mean, as far as people being almost desensitized to photos these days, because it's just like you go on Facebook and all you see are photos, and it's, you know, you can only see so many photos of somebody's pasta dish at the restaurant they're at before you just want to scratch your eyes out. Mm-hmm. So it's getting to that point now where, yeah, if you see something that's been a good photo and it's been touched up well, it stands out from the crowd. So what you guys are doing is awesome.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, the company's name, you know, one of the layer in the meaning is to pay tribute to Polarr, which is what I think is the true personal camera. You know, like, you know, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you go to instant film camera shop, you know, the shop owner had to match you with a camera because of the, you know, the production quality isn't very stable. So every Polarr camera will produce some sort of photo that's kind of unique. You know, right now we have like 1,000 iPhones have 1,000 same lens and an image system. So if 1,000 people take photos of the Eiffel Tower, they will all look the same. Mm-hmm. But when you have the Polarr camera, you know, that's, you know, when you pick one, it's almost picking your pet, and that sort of represent how you look at the world, and your sense of beauty and your sense of photography just came straight out of the camera. So I think definitely you're right to hit on the personal aspect of delivering photography. I think that's the only way they can save this massive overflow and overwhelmed, you know, this scenario of photography. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that wraps up the kind of the nuts and bolts of the interview. We've got just a last few questions here that are more of, I guess, a short answer type question, just stuff that we like to ask to figure out what other entrepreneurs are kind of thinking, and hopefully your answers can help inspire some other entrepreneurs or people who are looking towards maybe taking that leap into that venture. So beginning with, who do you consider to be your biggest inspiration, either in business or just in life in general?
Yeah, I would say both in business and life. So I think Louis C.K., the stand-up comedian who did the Omega show and won 2 Grammy Awards, I really think he had the personality of not caring how other people think and do his show in his way, and not being afraid of public opinions. And while he's doing it, he's not really expecting, you know, his show to become, you know, extremely popular, successful. It's basically he's telling his own story. So that's sort of attitude of making and doing things, and the focus of getting your own philosophy out there in front of a group of audience. I think all entrepreneurs are pretty much doing the same. It's like everyone is selling art right now. Mm-hmm. That's the person.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about going out there, and you're not going to make money just because you want to make money. And if you go about it just to do that, that's the wrong attitude to have, because he realizes that he's helping people with comedy.
He's authentic. He's extremely authentic. You know, he doesn't write his show or his jokes for anyone. I really like him. Yeah,
well, that's great. That's a good example. Next question is, if you suddenly had $100,000 to spend in your business, we're not going to say it's not debt, it's not equity, it's just kind of a windfall. What would you do with that money in the couple weeks coming up here?
I actually want to maybe start a very small studio in San Francisco, just find a place and have people come by and develop their films. You know, it's just people have forgotten about film photography, and I think that's kind of important to what we're doing. And have a shop running. You know, we are an online business, but have like an offline presence can give us some interesting brand presence. And that thing is not necessarily like contributing to what I'm doing. It's just I think people should deserve something more original and authentic and high quality, and trying to save that from disappearing. So if I have like $100,000, I'll probably just do that and not really looking for revenue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the added benefit could be too, I mean, you would be close to your potential customers then. If you're aiming for those people who would probably be the type of photographer that still likes film photography. So it gives you a chance to really get up close and personal with them. So it would help your business too, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. And then Jordan and I like to read a lot. I'm personally always halfway through probably 3 different books at any given time. Is there one book out there that you think has really helped you in becoming an entrepreneur?
I really like I think it's The Pencil Promise, or The Promise of a Pencil by Adam Brown. Talks about a guy who used to work for a high-pay salary consulting firm and went on a trip in Africa and figured that, every kid he ever met, if he asked about what's the one thing that you wish you have, if there's like, you could just say it, and they will always say they want a pencil, and that's inspired him a lot, both on the personal level and just the educational level. So he then quit his job and started to trying to fulfill that promise of a pencil, give it back to every kid he talked to. I think the lesson I learned from it is really sometimes we always read and see or listen to someone else's experience, but having an experience seeing someone's actual in pain, or you're being together with them experience that pain, that gives you just 100 times better view and sense of what's actually going on. So as an entrepreneur, I think this type of organic and authentic entrepreneurs, they all sort of have a first-hand experience. It's not, by ear or by some second-hand medium. It's their personal experience. So I think while working on startups, having that process set up very early is very important. And the book also talk about a lot about just how that very difficult process of growing a nonprofit and raising money and all this self-doubt and questions from friends and family, and how he dealt with all this pressure and stress. So I think that would be a really great book. Building a nonprofit is certainly tougher, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He called it for purpose because he thought like nonprofit is really biased terms in front of investors. But I think, just from the business side, the personal side, and everything else, that book would be pretty helpful.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point there that he kind of scratched his own itch. He wanted to create a program for these people that he had been in personal contact with, and such a program didn't really exist in a sense that was focused where he wanted it to be. Obviously there's plenty of charities out there that are giving to impoverished children, but nothing specifically scratching his itch. And that overall, being an entrepreneur, you look and you see a lot of companies out there that were started to solve a problem that people have, but there are so many companies that were really started to scratch the founder's itch, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, starting a company because you realize you have a need and there's nobody out there filling it, you're probably not the only one. So
right.
People need to realize that it's not selfish to start a company to start your own itch, or to scratch your own itch, rather. It's likely something that other people are struggling with. So if you're listening out there and there's something that you find that you're frustrated with every single day, look into that. Go down that path. Talk to other people, see if they're having that problem.
Yeah, and that's really also the best protection of making your own things, right? Like in design, there's always two kind of approach. One is extremely user-centric. You just react to whatever the user says. But that might just get you into the danger of having a very mediocre product. And then you also have the egocentric side. You can see, you can always defend yourself by saying, I see what you don't see, and I feel what you don't feel. And I actually have this slight design ego. I know, this is kind of what I want. And that's really where new ideas and innovation come from, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'd love to talk for a while about that stuff, but we're getting short on time here, so we've got one final question for you. Is there something, a tool or a resource in your business that you find yourself using just about every day?
I think right now, at different stage of the company, especially at our stage when we're early, any tools that give us very effective analytics about how user interacting with the site, like heat map tools on user clicks, or Google Analytics that tracking retention and conversion rate. Those are the most important.
So what tools specifically do you use? A heat mapping tool right now?
We are building a little bit of our own because our site is it's a one-page, single-page app, and we don't really have lots of HTML buttons or input fields, so we kind of imitate what the heat map tool will do. We basically track users' mouse behaviors, but we definitely hope to see there's like some companies doing that for like more JavaScript heavy website. But other than that, I mean, Google Analytics, we closely monitor, the active users and what channels they come from. There's still, you can't really track the exact source. That's kind of bothering us. So, we start to look into SEO mods.
Okay.
It shows you more about your competitors' links and how your current SEO effort, how your current brand presence in major search engine is stacked against other competitors. I think those are useful too. That sort of constantly reminds us, where we are weaker than our competitors and where we might be a little bit stronger. So that's basically what we think is the most important right now.
Okay, very cool. And we'll have links to all these. I'll find a heat mapping software app out there and for those that aren't familiar, it's basically it tracks where users are clicking on your screen, where the mouse is going once they arrive at your website, and it can be very useful because if you have somewhere specifically you want them to click and you see the mouse never really moving towards that area, obviously you've got a problem with whatever button you're trying to get them onto. So We'll find something for that and put a link up there along with the book you recommend and any other links that we talked about throughout the interview here. Borui, I want to thank you again for joining us. It's truly been inspirational. I think what you're doing is it's at the utmost of entrepreneurship because you're doing it for all the right reasons and you're doing it in a way that you can tell that it's a passionate project for you and it's not something you're just out there to try and be, the next Apple or anything like that. So thanks again, and I can see you going far and doing great things. Last thing would be if people want to get in touch with you, if they have questions or just want to encourage you on your journey, is there a way that people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. So the website we're building is called Polarr. It's Pollarr.co, and we have a Twitter and Facebook public page. So if you just search Polarr on Google, you will find us. And shoot the email to info@polarr.co, and all of us are checking that, sort of just forward all the message to our personal accounts. So there you go.
Thanks again for joining us today. If you like what you hear, head over to driventobetter.com. Check out the show notes where we'll have everything we talked about here today. You can just search the name of the guest or their company, and that should pop up for you. While you're there, consider joining our DTB Plus Club. If you're not sure what that is, some of our guests will come to us with special offers, giveaways, contests, or discounts for our audience. The only way to get these is to become a member of the DTB Plus Club. In addition to bi-weekly emails with these offers, you'll also get exclusive access to the Plus Club private Facebook page. This is a place where like-minded entrepreneurs and soon-to-be entrepreneurs gather and exchange ideas, tips, and advice. Our guests talk a lot about having a support community, and the DTB Plus Club is just that. The best part is it's absolutely free to join. So head over to driventobetter.com now and check it out. Thanks again. See you next time.